Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about hypertrophy training, which is a really big and common term used in the fitness industry, especially for those in bodybuilding or powerlifting, and even in strength and conditioning working with athletes. Hypertrophy training is the process of building muscle mass. So in terms of your type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, you are born with a certain number of fibers, but you can't actually produce more fibers. You can train your type 1s to become type 2 fibers through training, specifically through power training. However, you can't physically build more muscle fibers. So in order to increase muscle mass, you need to build more sarcomeres, which are located in the muscle fibers. This is what gives the illusion or the visualization of having muscle. By building these more sarcomeres, you're increasing your muscle. You're increasing your muscle mass. This is really important for those that want to get into bodybuilding, powerlifting. We're slowly starting to get into fat loss training, for example, because it's the principle of what builds muscle keeps muscle. Because your muscle mass is your lean body mass, not your adipose tissue, which is your fat mass. So for us trainers, hypertrophy training is really easy to program because you can build muscle with any number of repetitions within a set. It's really easy to program, but your ideal rep range is between 8 to 12 reps. However, hypertrophy training is very, very hard for clients to perform because in order to get the effects of hypertrophy training, when we are programming it to failure or almost to failure. So in that instance, you are going to be lifting 80 to 90% of the 1 rep, just like in strength training. However, there's something called reps in reserve. So say I'm benching a 45-pound bar plus an additional 2 tens. It's an initial 20 pounds. So that's 65 pounds. But when I'm done my set, I can feel like I can do 10 to 12 more repetitions. That means I have 10 to 12 reps in reserve. So I have 10 to 12 reps left in my tank, ready to go. So I easily could have upped my weight. When we're training in hypertrophy, especially with our advanced clients, we want them training at 1 to 2 repetitions in reserve. So when they finish a set, they could only perform 1 or 2 reps. This makes hypertrophy training extremely tiring and taxing on the body, but it's also what's going to produce the stimulus. The same thing goes for the principle of progressively overloading. Progressively overloading your body and your system is going to produce muscular adaptations, which then is going to induce hypertrophy and build more sarcomeres because your nervous system is going to start responding to that stimulus. It's also very important that we are consistent with it because it's super easy to lose that muscle mass. Because what builds muscle is what keeps muscle. So once you start hypertrophy training, you can branch into strength because you're still going to be maintaining the muscle mass you've already built, but you can't really die off of it completely. Or you're not going to be able to keep the muscle that you currently have. And hypertrophy training is not that best for beginner clients. We don't want to throw someone who's never been into a gym before into a hypertrophy exercise program where they're automatically training at 1 to 2 reps in reserve. What's going to happen is their muscles are going to be incredibly sore the next day or 2 days following the workout. They're not going to want to come back in the gym because their body has been taxed and they're so sore. So what you want to do is you want to phase them into the program. So have them working with less amount of weight, so less external load and less repetitions in reserve to keep them coming back and slowly progressively overload the system so that eventually they are working in a 1 to 2 reps in reserve range to get the benefit of hypertrophy training. It's especially important with your clients coming in wanting to lose a little bit of fat for vacation they have in 6 months down the road. You want to phase them into hypertrophy training rather than just jumping straight into it. Because at that point, they're going to be incredibly sore, and they're going to be like, I wasn't expecting to be this sore, and they're going to fall right back into the contemplation or pre-contemplation stage of the stages of change. And we don't want that. We want them to continue into the action and maintenance building of the stages of change theory in order to help them accomplish their goals for the vacation 6 months down the road. Hypertrophy training is really, really, really hard to perform because you're pushing yourself basically to the max. So a lot of clients are going to struggle with the consistency of it because they're pushing themselves. So they're going to get halfway through a set and they're going to want to drop the weight and give up. And it can be something to do with their motivation levels, their lifestyle, their habits, their lifestyle, in their lifestyle in general. So they're coming from a completely sedentary lifestyle. They work at a desk all day, every day, and they're wanting to be more active and they're wanting to lose. And they have a fat loss goal, for example. Getting them to perform at 1 to 2 reps in reserve right away is going to be very taxing and hard on them. And they're going to lose their motivation and they're going to lose their willpower so fast because it's such a hard thing to do and we do not have an endless amount of willpower. Eventually our willpower will fall out. So it's your job as a trainer to support them, but also do those MI sessions, check in on them, see how they're doing, make sure they're keeping track of their progress, and also just checking in on them, see how their workouts are doing, see how they're moving. Doing all those little things can really, really help when training hypertrophy.